Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for a very exciting Norwegian Cruise Line webinar. My name is Anna. I'm an Industry Relations Manager here at CLIA, and I'm going to just quickly go through some housekeeping before introducing our presenter. The webinar will run about 35 minutes with time for questions at the end. Please feel free to type your questions into the questions module of the webinar, and we'll get to them at the conclusion of the presentation. The webinar is being recorded and will be posted on CLIA's YouTube channel, which is CLIA Global. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Derek Lloyd. Derek has been in the cruise industry since 1995 and has held various roles for multiple cruise lines over the years. First starting with Norwegian Cruise in 2001 as Business Development Manager for Western Canada, Derek rejoined in 2006 as National and Key Account Manager, where he was eventually appointed Director of Business Development. Overseeing at various times the Canadian as well as Western and Northeast U.S. markets, this gave him the opportunity to be involved in all sales and business development functions in those regions, including contract negotiations, tour operator and consortia account management, as well as customer relationship development. He is now Vice President Agency Sales for North America with responsibility for the entire field and inside sales organization. And with that, take it away, Derek.
Great, thank you very much, Anna. I appreciate it. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining today. I'm going to briefly show on the webcam just to show that I did dress up for the webinar. I am working from home today. So to get into it, I wanted to talk to you about a few different things. Once again, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. So there's a few things that I want to go through today. One of the biggest and most exciting things is, quite frankly, the fact that I just had the opportunity to sail on the Norwegian Prima. So I am absolutely thrilled to be sharing the inaugural experiences with you. We've got a lot of different content that I'm gonna talk to and talk about my own experience, because it's one thing to, you know, it's so funny. Over the last couple of years, we have been talking about this ship and how exciting it is, and then to actually be able to step on board and to see all of these things that you've been, you know, so excited about seeing and having it all come together was just outstanding. And I was fortunate enough to be on the absolute inaugural sailing. So this was the sailing in August from Reykjavik through to Amsterdam. Literally the first sailing of the ship with guests on board. So it was really quite a special experience for me. As well, I'm going to talk to you about a few other things, including our Partners First program that relates somewhat to the inaugural, and of course, talking about some of the other best-in-class things related to the Prima, and then finally, where you can access more resources. So let's get into this. So first of all, Norwegian Prima. This, as you know, is the first ship in about 10 years, our first new class of ship for us. So the Breakaway that we launched, again, about a decade ago, was a whole series of ships, including the Breakaway, the Getaway, the Escape, the Joy, the Encore, and the Bliss. And the Prima is a brand new, and she is the first of 6 vessels of her kind. So from now, for the next 6-ish plus years, we are going to be having a ship coming out almost every single year. And this is really great for us because, you know, the Prima, it's kind of interesting if you look at it. Our ships fall into 2 broad classes. We've got our smaller ships, which are around the 2,000 passenger mark. And then we've got our larger ships, about 4,000, 4,100-ish. The Prima sits right in the middle. The Prima Class sits right in the middle. So while she is about the same tonnage as a ship like the Breakaway, we're sailing with about 3,200 passengers or so. So it really speaks to things like the space ratio, etc. And so when we launched it, we brought aboard about 2,400 of our guests, and this is for the christening event and inaugural journey. So these 2,400 people, it was the first time for them to experience the Prima, as well as to celebrate that whole new era of ships for us. As I mentioned, we've been talking about it for 2 years, so it was just fantastic to be on board. This was actually the first cruise ship to be christened in Iceland, and this was a big deal. For any of you who have had the opportunity, Iceland is an absolutely beautiful country, and I've got to say, every time we put Iceland on an itinerary, that itinerary sells very, very quickly. It is such a hot destination, has been over the last 10 years, and I can say, having done it now myself, I can absolutely understand why. We had a whole series of events, including performances by the Icelandic Dance Company, the Icelandic Symphony Orchestra, an award-winning artist, Brit, performed for us, and of course, the godmother of the Norwegian Prima, Katy Perry. So she actually performed on board in the theater. So just a little over 700 guests were able to see her live, and we live streamed through the rest of the ship. So imagine having your clients sail from a destination like this. I did a quick Golden Circle tour and was absolutely blown away by what such a gorgeous, gorgeous country Iceland is. I simply cannot speak highly to it enough. So I'm going to show you a quick video now, which is a inaugural highlights featuring Katy Perry. The video was specially put together to capture the whole experience, the Harpa concert hall that I mentioned, the performances that we've done on board. I've been lucky enough to have been at a number of different inaugurals over the years, and this one was by far the best I've ever attended. So give me 1 second. Again, I've got to say it was such a neat experience. So what I want to talk through next is one of the things that we did on board was we said for all of our travel partners that were there, over 1,000 of them, we asked them to post on social media using the hashtag Ncl Partners First. And we contacted some of them and asked them if they'd be okay with us sharing some of their content with all of you. So there was a few things that we did. So as I said, we had 1,000 people on board. We had a lot more of you that we wanted to share the experience with, and so some of you may have seen some of these boxes that we had. So we actually sent these out, and the day of the inaugural event, we sent you the unlock code. So it was really funny watching my Facebook feed or on Instagram, everybody posting these pictures of these boxes, and then we sent out the code to unlock it. So it had some neat little trinkets and stuff related to the celebration of the Norwegian Prima. Again, I suspect that probably many of you saw this online. It was it would be hard to top that. I honestly think it was one of the best promotions we've done to launch a new ship. So in total, when we look at the Norwegian Prima, we actually had over 1,000 global online media clips that amounted to 1.3 billion impressions.
Derek, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I am not sure that we've toggled back to your presentation screen yet. If you could do that, then we'll be able to see your screen again.
Thank you for mentioning that, because you are right. I need to go back to here. Is that correct?
Perfect. Yes, now we can see it. Thank you.
Okay, so I got the showing of the video correct, just the second part. Anyway, so these are the boxes that I've been talking about that some of you may have seen on social media. Really, really, really cool. And again, we're talking about the number of impressions, and which translates to you, because this means your clients saw all of this media, all of these impressions related to the ship. So Katy Perry herself, who I now follow, actually posted on board. That has got huge, huge, huge reach. The stuff that we did on board, again, 1.3 billion impressions. I can't emphasize that enough. So these logo Prima boxes were sent out. So yeah, some of the stuff in terms of what people sent us on board. And by the way, thank you to Jessica, Kim, and Allison for sharing those pictures through your social media. Here's some other pictures from social. So there's a ton of different firsts on board. So for one, for any of you who have sailed on the Breakaway class of ship, you know that we've got the waterfront. It's around 20,000 square feet on deck 8. It provides a really nice indoor and outdoor area. With the Prima, we've got Ocean Boulevard, which is more than double that size. So it's 4,400 square feet. It extends all around the deck and includes the open air Indulge food hall. The Indulge food hall is absolutely unbelievably cool. 11 different concepts. So we've got, you know, an Indian restaurant, Q barbecue, and you can order from all of them while sitting at the table. Very, very neat. We've also got the drop, which you can see a picture by Cruise by Mandy there. They somehow managed to capture, whoever was taking that photo managed to capture just as you're on the translucent part of the slide. This is a 10-story drop from deck 18 down to deck 8. It is the neatest thing. So we've actually got the drop on one side, which is a free fall, and then we've got another set of 2 slides on the other where you can race other people. We've also got the racetrack. This is the first 3-story racetrack. Unbelievably fun. I did manage to do it, well, just once, but I hopefully can do it again. And of course, things like Price is Right on board. Some great concepts with bars and lounges. So we've got a number of different things, including this. So we've got the Soleil Bar. Thank you, Deborah Berry-Thune, and everybody else showing various libations on board. And then tons of dining options. So these are pictures from some of our guests. As you can see, we did a absolutely spectacular seafood buffet one day. And some of the other pictures of many of you on board the ship enjoying some of the food options. Now, as I mentioned, we did have an opportunity to see Katy Perry live. I can't tell you, everybody was absolutely raving about her, and I can see why. She actually, after her main performance, went down into the crew areas, introduced herself to a number of the crew members. You can see the picture here on the left where she's taking a selfie with them. She really, really feels connected to that ship, and she mentioned it a bunch of different times. She is just an outstanding representative for us. And as I mentioned, with the Prima class at about 3,200 passengers, same size as our other ships, it really does mean that the passenger to crew ratio is significantly better, in that we've got essentially for every 2 guests, we've got 1 crew member on board. So that's a really, really high service ratio, and that translates to just better service on board, faster service in the restaurant, better service in the bars and lounges and cabins, etc. Now, talking about the fleet as a whole, as I mentioned, the Prima is the first. And everything that you saw about the Prima can be equated to the Viva as well. The Prima and Viva, the next ship coming out in August of next year, are identical sister ships. And this is what our fleet will look like at that point. So these are all of the 19 ships that we currently have announced. So from everything from the Norwegian Spirit all the way to the Norwegian Viva, we have got a modern new fleet, and she is only going to get more modern and more new as we go through, because after the Viva, So we have the Prima, then comes the Viva. We then have 4 more ships to come. So Norwegian is very much in a growth mode. We're going to have lots and lots of options for your guests. One of the differences with the Prima and Viva is where we put the haven. And this is a fairly exciting thing. So on the breakaway class of ships, the haven is mostly located towards the front. And it creates a beautiful space. So for example, you've got this great observation lounge up top that's private for the haven guests. And everything is centered around the haven courtyard. So that's where the pool is, that's where the deck is. Really, really gorgeous. What's nice with the Prima class is we've actually moved the haven to the very aft of the ship. And the benefit there is that we are now, rather than facing inwards, your guests are facing outwards. So the pool at the very, very back is an infinity pool overlooking the aft of the ship as you're sailing away. The deck area is much more open to the elements. Just the general feeling of the entire haven complex at the aft of the ship is much more open. The location of the haven really does make a difference. And we've now also got a private elevator for haven guests that runs the height of the ship. So for guests that want to go down to dinner, they actually can go through an elevator located in the haven space. Now, we are very, very much focused these days on our Sail and Sustain program, and it has a number of different pillars. So the Norwegian Prima is offering various innovative technologies, so things like cold ironing, where we can maximize energy efficiency with plugins to ports that reduces emissions in ports as well as at sea. We've also got a radical difference in the power plant where we're looking at potentially running on LNG in the long term, which again is going to help in terms of emissions and efficiencies. And we're looking forward to evaluating new technologies and alternative fuels for future ships, because we need to make sure that we can operate in as environmentally friendly and sustainable a way as possible. So there's a few things that we're doing, and as you probably heard, we are working towards becoming completely carbon neutral. So there's 3 things that we're doing when it comes to actually achieving this carbon neutrality. One is we're trying to reduce the carbon intensity. And what that basically means is we are seeking opportunities to reduce the footprint by minimizing fuel consumption and increasing overall energy efficiency. So there's a number of different investments that we're doing. For example, we've actually some of these investments, and some of them can be small incremental things, but we've actually increased or decreased our fuel consumption per capacity day by about 17% over the last 10 years. So that was from 2008 to 2019. And this actually applies to the entire 28 NCLH fleet. As well, during that same period, we reduced our CO2 emissions by about 14%. And that was actually during a slightly shorter period. We're also investing, as I mentioned, in some of the new technology and alternative fuels. So we've actually partnered with CLIA, who we're doing the webinar with today, and a number of other maritime organizations. So we're actually proposing the establishment of a collaborative shipping research and development and a fund dedicated to eliminating CO2 emissions from international shipping. The funding is expected to amount to basically $5 billion over a 10-year period. And the funds will be used to finance the development of zero or near zero GHG fuels and propulsion technologies. This is very cool. This is a long-term project, and I think it's just important for you to understand, and for you to be able to talk to your clients and know that we are making efforts and we are making progress towards reducing our overall environmental impact. And then finally, we are implementing a voluntary carbon offset program. So NCLH, the parent company, so we've actually committed to purchasing carbon credits to offset 3 million tons, essentially over a 3-year period, to bridge the gap as we work towards a decarbonization efforts of with the new technologies. And again, it's just one of those things we're very, very much working towards making improvements across all of these different elements of our Sail and Sustain program. So in terms of the Prima and the Viva, let me talk to you a little bit about the destinations. So the Viva, as I mentioned, she's the second ship. She's coming out in August of 2023. So in general, as I said, everything that I talked about with the Prima, you can apply to the Viva. So all of the things like, for example, the restaurants with Los Lobos and Palomar and Cagney's and Le Bistro, that again spans both of those ships. And one thing that I absolutely noticed with the Prima and with the Viva, the ship is very much geared towards families as well as more active and adventurous millennials. They're a very active ship, a lot of stuff going on, more smaller spaces throughout. You can absolutely see a difference in the ship versus as we've elevated over times. But let's talk about the destinations that we're going to. So this, as you can see, this is a picture of Rome. So one of the things that you probably noticed with Norwegian in terms of our itineraries is we're actually going to longer itineraries. And that's absolutely true when we're looking at the Prima and at the Viva. So these ships are typically are featuring sort of 7 to 12 days. A few 5 days in between, but those are mostly sort of repositioning type of experiences. Norway and Iceland are absolutely high on the list. And in general, and you see this across all of our fleets, where we might have had 7 days or 5 days cruises, we've now moved to 7, 9, and 11-day itineraries. What we are finding, especially coming out of the last 2 years, people are looking for more immersive itineraries. They're looking for more ports to go to. They're looking for places to go all over the world. And we've actually got 400 destinations that we go to. And so we are actually have cruises to all 7 continents. And that is significant. The Norwegian Prima, so right now is sailing over in Europe, is going to be coming to North America soon. I may be seeing some of you on board any of our North American inaugural launches. She will be sailing for passenger cruises from New York to Galveston, where we're doing some launches, Galveston to Miami, and then for the winter, she's going to be based out of Port Canaveral. Through the summer next year, she's going to head back over to Europe to do some of the longer, more northern European itineraries. The Viva actually heads towards, when she first comes out in August, she's going to be doing a few things over in Europe, and then she'll be coming over and doing cruises out of San Juan. And that, I think, is a significant opportunity for all of us. San Juan, to have a brand new ship there with an extremely port-intensive itinerary is quite unusual. So now you've got sort of the best of both worlds. Whereas often out of San Juan, you'll have the smaller and sometimes older ships. Now with the newest ship in our fleet, it really gives you the opportunity to put forward a Southern Caribbean itinerary in front of your guests. Again, in general, looking at this map, as you can see, we've developed extremely intensive itineraries. So the dots, the white dots with the white around are the actual where we leave from. The black dots represent where we go, and then we've got cruising points with the other white dots. So just to give you, and I think for anybody that's been in the business for a while, a lot of people think of Norwegian as being mostly Caribbean, maybe a little bit of Europe. But take a look at this map. Look at all of the destinations that we actually cruise from. We have cruises leaving from Tromsø. We have cruises leaving from Tokyo, from Bangkok, from Hong Kong, from Rio, from San Antonio, obviously Honolulu, Papeete. We are cruising everywhere. And this is a significant change with Norwegian over the years. We are very much focused on where we go, not just the ships themselves. So for your clients that are looking to get out there and explore the world, the fact that we go all of these places is huge. The other thing that we've done is we've actually, if you take a look at Norwegian versus some of our major competitors, we have 75%. We have 75% of our cruises are port days versus 63% for some of our competitors. Our average sea days, we've actually got the lowest average number of sea days at only 1.5 average per sailing, and that compares to closer to 2.7 for some of our competitors. And again, with 400 ports, we go to more ports than a lot of luxury lines, quite frankly. Now, it helps that we've got as many ships that we have, but this is a really important thing for you to convey to your clients for us, is Norwegian, gorgeous ships, freestyle, free at sea, all of those free things that you're used to selling and positioning with us, but it's very, very much about itineraries these days. So let me talk to you now a little bit about the itinerary, or sorry, the accommodations for both the Prima and the Viva. I can tell you, absolutely gorgeous. This was the first of the ships that Frank Del Rio had a hand in from the very beginning. And as you probably know, Frank Del Rio started Oceania, has run Regent for many, many years. He's a phenomenal shipbuilder, and you can see all of the touches throughout, from these gorgeous rooms to things like this, the Haven. As I mentioned to you before, the Haven being at the very aft of the ship, here's a picture of it. And you can see there's the infinity pool. And imagine for your clients looking over the very back of the ship, the very aft of the ship, with this infinity pool, with these gorgeous beds, with a sauna, again, with a view out towards the back, is unbelievable. And then let's look at the suite at the various suites. So we have, as you can imagine, everything on the ship, from studio staterooms. As you probably all know, from the Norwegian Epic onwards, we've had these solo suites. Now the Prima continues that, and we've got everything from the solo suites all the way up to the deluxe owner suite. The decor is gorgeous, very subtle, sophisticated, elevated tones, beautiful artwork, our largest inside staterooms, as well as the ocean view and balcony. Most of the staterooms are up to 50% larger than the equivalent on the rest of the fleet. So the rooms are absolutely fantastic. And of course, Norwegian is very much known for the dining. So for example, Palomar, this is a new concept on board the Norwegian Prima. Palomar is our first Mediterranean restaurant, so very seafood focused. We're bringing on fresh fish throughout the voyages to make sure that we can deliver the quality that we want to deliver on this. And as you can take a look at the location, this is on deck, I want to say 17 midship, with these beautiful floor-to-ceiling windows. Imagine cruising in the Mediterranean, having dinner in Palomar overlooking the port that you're sitting in. Or the Bistro. Now the Bistro, for many of you, Bistro's been around for years. I think the Norwegian Wind had a Bistro on board, and it has been a classic on board our ship for many, many, many years. This is a traditional French bistro. We recently, in the last 2 years, changed the menu, and I've got to say it is outstanding. The new menu options are unbelievable and will blow you away that you're actually on a ship dining in this quality level of restaurant. If I haven't gotten it across, I absolutely love the bistro. Have the lamb. And then, of course, there's some great other areas on board. So, for example, the Metropolitan Bar. The Metropolitan Bar, this actually features our Sail and Sustain program. So we've got responsibly crafted zero-waste cocktails prepared with ingredients that have sustainable spirit menus, biodynamic wines. The bartenders there do such a great job of explaining everything, talking about all of the things that we do to create this sustainable program. And we've actually also got a bar lab where we're creating these sustainable cocktails, handmade, really, really, really neat experience on board the Prima. And this view is one of the first things that your guests will see when they walk on board. The main atrium on board the Prima is unbelievably sophisticated, 3 stories high. And one of the things that I really like about this is, as you can see, there are usable areas throughout. So on the main level, you've got one of the bars where we have music playing in the evening. There is the Starbucks in the center, and then at the top there is the whiskey bar. So the atrium is very much alive during the entire cruise, and especially at night, with these gorgeous lights, the chandelier that you can just sort of see in this picture. Absolutely beautiful. As I mentioned, lots and lots of stuff to do. So this is the Rush. That's the Dueling Slides. A little bit of a hint for any of you that want to challenge your partner when you sail on the Prima, the blue slide is apparently the faster one. I got challenged and did actually do this when I was on board the ship, and I won, but only because I knew the blue one was the right one to pick. These are the fastest slides at sea, and the neat thing with these is they're dry. So you don't have to, there's no water in them, you don't have to change into a bathing suit. We essentially sort of, there's I want to say bag, but that's kind of the concept, like that you sort of fold yourself into as you go down these slides. So the neat thing is you can sort of do them between other things. It's not like you have to go and get changed into a bathing suit and get wet and all of that. So it's a really neat experience to have these. And then the racetrack, so much fun. Again, 3 stories. This is the first time we've ever had a 3-story racetrack. It's a 1/4 mile in length. So it's actually it's almost a full quarter, it's actually 22% longer than the Norwegian Encore, which otherwise was the longest racetrack that we had. So much fun. We've also, what I like what we did with the Prima is we created an area where the spectators can get involved. So up top, we've got these laser guns that you can shoot the cars as they go past, and you actually give the car riders additional turbo boosts. So if they're in any way competitive, can try to beat whoever they're racing with. So now finally, before we get into some questions, I want to talk about some of the resources that we have. So Norwegian Central, I certainly hope that all of you are very familiar with Norwegian Central. It has absolutely everything to do related to Norwegian. So this is the main screen of Norwegian Central. So one of the most important things is, and we always say it, we rely on you for marketing. We rely on you to tell the story of Norwegian to your clients. We look to you because you're talking to people that we're not. You have a credibility with your client. They follow your advice. And so with Norwegian Central in general, it's divided into sort of 4 different sections. So first is learn. So on the learn section, we've got Ncl, our award-winning university program, constantly being being enhanced. So for example, we added some new resources regarding the Norwegian Prima recently. Another area on the very left, and I can't emphasize this enough, is Ncl Help. It is the Google of everything Norwegian. If I'm ever looking for a detailed answer on something, or terms and conditions of a promotion, or stateroom information, or accessible stateroom information, I always go to Ncl Help first. It is literally, you guys who got the same access to the information that we have. Under marketing headquarters, though, this is something that I really want you to try to use. So if you go into marketing headquarters, it is an entire section that allows you to do anything you could think of in terms of being able to talk about Norwegian to your clients. So you go into marketing materials, as you can see, we've got everything there. E-brochures, emails, flyers, customizable flyers. That is such a neat area, because here's the thing. We want you to hold group space because we want you to sail with us and bring a whole bunch of your clients with us. So pick a sailing that you can get excited about. Pick a sailing that you really want to do yourself. Do you want to see Iceland? Great. Grab some group space. There's no risk to it whatsoever. With our affinity group program, you can hold space for only $50. And that's after 60 days. You've got a full 2 months to promote it before we ask for a fully refundable deposit. So go into Norwegian Central, go to marketing headquarters, and click on these customizable flyers. What you'll be taken to is a section like this, where you fill in all of your own information. You can fill in a picture of yourself. You can fill in your company logo. You can fill in all of your contact details. And that section that you see on the right, that actually is a full pick list of every itinerary that we have. So again, if you want to promote a group on the Viva, you want to promote a group on the Prima out of Galveston, for example, go in there, select the destination, select the ship, pull up the itinerary and we'll drop in all the information for you. So we'll drop in the itinerary map. You can choose which pictures you want to use. And again, you can fill in your own call to action, your own contact information, and then you can print this, email this, whatever you want to do. So I cannot emphasize this enough. We spend millions of dollars in marketing headquarters to make it easier for you to be able to sell our product. So, and then finally, some of the other things in marketing headquarters, like for example, this great Prima Map. I absolutely love this. So rather than the old school full-on fold-out ship brochures, we've got this sort of summary map that gives you all the most important things about what's on board the ship. So the spa, any of this, where the specialty restaurants are, etc. Again, really, really handy. That's a relatively new addition to the section. And when we look at other resources, as I mentioned, Ncl. Ncl it's been around for 10 years now. We launched it pretty much when we first launched Partners First. But again, even for some of you who may already be master's or PhD level, that's not the end. We always have new courses that we're bringing out. So as of just 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think we brought out our Prima classes, including the dining, bars, and lounges courses. It was actually further back than that. You can get to it via norwegiancentral.com, or you can go to it directly at ncluniversity.com. It's a great way to keep up to speed. Myself, whenever a new course comes out, I always make sure to do it. My entire team does it, because we want to make sure that we've got all of the same information, and it's a really good thing for you in terms of getting familiar with the ships, getting familiar with Norwegian, our groups program, weddings at sea. Anything you might need to know about Norwegian is in NCLU, and it's presented in a very easy format. You can stop and start and go back to. I certainly hope, really hope, that you're a member of our Partners First Facebook page. Please join our community on it. So it is Partners First Community Group, as you'll see there. The benefit there is we'll post anytime there's anything important for you to know. So yes, we will have destination information, we'll have destination highlights, but we'll also have specific updates about new policies, etc. There's other travel partners. This can be part of a discussion group. So sometimes, somebody will ask a question, we'll have our great travel partners chime in, help out with the answer. And we also look at that pretty carefully. And so if we see the same questions being asked a lot, we'll go in and say, okay, well, do we need to do a specific email about it? Do we need to enhance our Ncl Help resource to provide more information? So I look at it myself, all of the other team looks at that. So really, really helpful for you. Now, last couple of things in terms of some business updates. So as you know, health and safety policies have been changing. We're seeing a lot of positive movement throughout the world. Just this week, Canada loosened some of the restrictions in terms of entering. But as always, go to ncl.com/sail-safe. So sail-safe. That will not only tell you what the current policies are, tell you what are the potential restrictions that still may exist. It'll tell you things like vaccination requirements. It'll tell you things like testing, etc. But as I think we all know, as of recently, all cruises are welcome. So even those who have been unable to vaccinate, you can actually now sail with us. But please, again, go to ncl.com/sail-safe for all of the details, because there can be differences in terms of testing requirements, etc. Make sure that you position yourself as an expert, and part of that is again paying attention to the changing policies. One of the things that we announced on board the Norwegian Prima is we have now entered a partnership with Coca-Cola. So that, as you can see, there's Harry Summer, our president and CEO, on board the ship, and this will be rolling out throughout the fleet throughout the rest of the year. We've also announced our Free at Sea Plus program. So check that out online. Details are available in norwegiancentral.com. Free at Sea Plus is a great new program for those of you guys who want to enhance the value of the Free at Sea program. So things like the Premium Plus beverage package, additional Wi-Fi, additional shore excursion credits. It is a great value for those clients that would be able to take advantage of those additions. Again, cannot talk about that enough. And then finally, just a challenge to you. Please go back and do something with the information that we talk about on these webinars. Go look at opening up a group space. We've got a great sales development team. They'll help you with promoting a group. We want you to sail on our ships. We want you to bring your clients on your ships. We really would love it if you would pick that itinerary that speaks to you, because quite frankly, it's easy to speak to your clients about it. Make sure you pay attention to NCLU, earn those badges. Make sure you keep going into Norwegian Central, look at things like FCCs. And the biggest thing, and I'm talking to my team about it, start planning for Wave. We know that the last couple of years have been a little odd. We are starting to see things are getting somewhat back to normal. We do expect that this year's Wave season is going to be much more like it was in previous years. So now is the time to start actually planning for that. And with that, I'm actually going to open it up to any questions. Anna.
Perfect, thank you. We do have a few questions coming in. Our first one is from Rhonda, who is wondering if you can repeat how many cabins you need to book for a group.
Okay, sure. So we've got a couple different groups programmed. The one that probably everybody on this call, on this webinar would be most interested in is what we refer to as our affinity group program. So with the affinity group program, you can hold, you have to hold a minimum of 8 cabins. Again, deposit is due just 60 days after you've held the group space. The group deposit is fully refundable right up to final payment. And a TC on our affinity program is actually only 1 for 5. So the TC requirement is fairly low. And so if you're looking at going yourself, you just need 10 cabins and you go yourself for free. Plus there are additional benefits within our affinity program. There is a sliding discount, 5, 10, or 15% discount. We also have an additional bonus. So while there's a whole menu of items, you can have up to $100 onboard credit that is exclusive when you promote a group. Again, go to norwegiancentral.com, go into the marketing headquarters, and there's actually a groups flyer that gives you all of those details.
Okay, great. Our next question is from Mary, who is wondering if there are any accessible cabins with roll-in showers on board.
I believe that there are. I'm not sure whether the question is specific to Prima or Viva. I believe that there are, but here's a great thing to use Norwegian Central and Ncl Help for. Go into Ncl Help, type accessible cabins, and we list all of our ships, all of the accessible cabins with details for them. Plus, we do have an accessibility desk that can answer very specific questions like the height of handlebars and things like that.
Perfect. That is a fantastic resource. And it looks like we just have one more question, which I love. This is from Hamid, who is sailing on Prima on January 15th and is wondering what your favorite bar was on board Prima.
Wow. Which to say is a favorite. The whiskey bar is very, very cool. One of the reasons why I like the whiskey bar is because it is on deck 8 of the main atrium. So you get a really cool kind of vibe around it just because it's in this big open space. You can hear the music playing from down below. It feels very much like the central hub, I guess. It's very open, very light. It also happened to be relatively near to the cabin I was in, so that helped. But yeah, but of course, try them all. Soleil bar is also a very, very cool one too.
Yes, I'm sure you can't go wrong. And yeah. With that, it looks like those are all of our questions. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And thank you, Derek, for all of the wonderful information.
Of course. Thank you very much.
Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Bye.